Hello, welcome to another podcast of Master Investor. My name is Jose. I'm the founder of the company and brand here, Master Investor. Welcome back if you're an existing partner, and if you are new, make sure to follow us and subscribe in all social media platforms. We're live on YouTube right now, so if you'd like to see the article that we're going to be speaking about today, which is content versus context, the wealthy mindset, and we're going to find out which one is keen to build wealth. Understanding the wealthy mindset is very important when it comes to building our asset column. We need to approach money in the game of business and investing with a wealthy mindset, because if you're using the old rules of money, you're going to find yourself struggling. And a lot of times we don't even realize that we're using the old rules of money because we have been taught by our parents and teachers and other people as we were growing up the old rules of money. They thought whatever they knew, and they don't know that the new rules of money have emerged. That's why we created our ebook, The 10 New Rules of Money. We also have another one called How to Build Cash Flow with the Internet, Turn Passive Income On, and How to Invest in Crypto to Build Wealth, Understanding Bitcoin and Blockchain. We're working on our fourth ebook. It's going to be called How to Raise Capital to Build Wealth. Remember, we have built the bridge from the poor mindset to the wealthy mindset. In other words, whatever products you get from our catalog here at Master Investor is catered to build our wealth. It's catered to build your asset column, okay? It's going to be filled with financial literacy, with steps on showing you how to build a sales funnel, how to acquire assets that are producing passive income, understanding the new rules of money, and everything that we ever need in order to build a successful asset column that produces passive income and sometimes capital gains income, because remember, there are 5 asset classes that exist. Number 1, real estate. Number 2, business. Number 3, crypto. Number 4, paper assets. Number 5, commodities. And they all require financial education. Here at Master Investor, we have broken all of those asset classes down in different ebooks and courses that we are producing every single day, including these articles and our podcast, also our live streams on YouTube and other platforms. So it's all about syndicating our message. And when we're building a successful business online, you need to understand that the message behind your brand is very important. So we need to have a story behind it. We need to have a big enough why so that we can persevere through the tough times, if you will. But we can avoid tough times because the better mentors we adopt along the way and we invest in their products and so forth, then we can avoid mistakes. And that way we can reach the destination more faster, the next level, if you will, because there's always room to improve. And we always have to understand that we are learning at all times. That's what a master is. A master investor is always going back to the basics. It's always seeking financial education. It's always investing in mentors, because it doesn't matter how successful we are becoming, we are aware that there's always something to be learned. There's somebody else stronger, there's somebody else wealthier, there's somebody else out there that knows more than we are aware of, and we can adopt that positive aspect of experience that they have in their life. And if we stay open, then we can actually learn from them. So learn from everything that is in front of us. We can seek those mentors. We need to do research, and we need to always be in charge of our time so that we can orchestrate it in such a way that is building our asset column, because it takes time and effort and energy to build the asset column. But understand that once we have an asset put together, that asset is going to bring excess or positive cash flow and sometimes capital gains income, right? So those are the 2 types of income that we can get from investing: passive income and capital gains income. The lowest tax income is passive income, and that's what we focus on building here at Master Investor. Rule number 1 in our community is that we work to build passive income and make money work hard through sound investing. And that's what the ultra wealthy do. That's why we do that. We exactly doing what they are doing, because it's all about the patterns, and that's what we're going to learn today. So make sure you leave a comment. If you have any questions, write it down in the section below. so that we can have a dialogue and we can answer other people's questions as well, right? So do that for the community, and make sure you also share the content with your team, because it's all about making our team aware and giving them a frame of thought that creates wealth. The summary of today's article will be: knowing the distinction between content and context can ensure that we are offering ourselves a financial education. The wealthy focus on context and the poor mindset focus on content. Changing our context begins with changing our mindset. We want the best for our partners, a master investor. We want our members to be wealthy and have control over their assets. Unfortunately, people in the world lack financial education required to prepare to become wealthy. So most people rely on the playbooks they were taught by the wrong mindset to become wealthy. They were taught by the poor mindset. Whether they realize it or not, they are acting in a context that feeds their heads the stuff that will keep them poor. The worst aspect is that schools repeat the same behavior. When it comes to our future, context and the content that comes from it are critical. But first, a brief definition of context and content. The contrast between content and context. According to Webster, context is the interrelated conditions under which something exists or occurs. It describes content as a part, element, or complex of parts. Simply said, context is the frame through which we perceive reality, and content is the information, experiences, thoughts, words, acts, etc. that fills that frame. The wealthy place emphasis on context. Those that are struggling financially should focus on they're focusing on content. To help illustrate, consider the metaphor of a glass and liquid. For the purposes of this lesson, the liquid and the glass symbolizes content. The glass represents context. Traditional schooling emphasizes content. Traditional education prioritizes content. Reading, writing, and mathematics are the most important things to teachers in the school systems. They are the sources of what are used in schools. Traditional schooling does not prioritize context. The learner, the student, is the glass. In school, we should all ask ourselves, why am I studying this? The teachers, employees, responses were all the same. If you don't get a good education, you won't get a good job. That is their background, but they also attempted to make it everyone's context. Unfortunately, many children and kids around the world, context are altered for the words because well-meaning but misinformed adults believe theirs is the only context. They then force-feed these children large volumes of contextually relevant knowledge. The teachers' comments show a lack of concern of everyone's personal situation. The teachers assume that we all wanted to be an employee. They prioritize their content over our context. They assume that everyone's context required their material. We didn't, and neither did many others. We are here to prevent the ones that are seeing and want to attract total freedom to unlock the unlimited wealth available to us by knowing more about business and changing that content and context of the poor mindset to the wealthy. Context, not content, is king. We have probably heard the phrase content is king before. It is actually not. Context is king. Context contains the content. Context may be visible, invisible, human, or not human. People find context to be very meaningful. Context shapes the course of our lives. A person's context contains philosophies, beliefs, thoughts, rules, values, fears, doubts, attitudes, choices. The words of a poor person reveal their context. He or she will say, they will never be wealthy. Money is the root of all evil. He or she will say they'd rather be happy than rich. The government should take care of people. Spend it if he or she got it. Many people are poor as a result of their circumstances and patterns with money. In most circumstances, more money does not make a poor person wealthier. Giving money to a poor person typically prolongs their poverty, sometimes permanently. People who grow up in the middle class rarely become wealthy. Throughout their lives, they were taught that they needed to go to school, get a decent career, purchase a great house, and invest in a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now, note that I say diversified portfolio in one asset class, paper assets. And here at Master Investor, we encourage everyone to diversify among the 5 different asset classes that I mentioned earlier on the podcast, right? Number 1, real estate. Number 2, business. Number 3, crypto. Number 4, paper assets. Number 5, commodities. I suggest that you start with businesses, start building businesses, and also real estate, start acquiring real estate, and get into crypto, and then go into paper assets and so forth. But always focus on building that passive income daily, something that you can touch every day. Like that cash flow has to be touching your account every day through sales, because you have businesses that are solving a problem in the world. But the middle class diversifies only on paper assets, on stocks and mutual funds. They give their money away through 401ks, which is fake assets, because all they're doing is taking money away from them every single month. If it's not putting money into their pocket right now, then it's not an asset until it puts money into their pocket. If it's taking money away from them, it's a liability. So the middle class hardly becomes wealthy because they fail to shift their mindset and the core values that they operate with. Every move they take serves to encourage this lifestyle. Many people go deeper into debt to keep up with the Joneses, and instead of investing those in the middle class, simply consume more. There's nothing wrong with going into debt as long as we're using the debt to buy and invest into assets that produces passive income and capital gains income that will pay for that debt service, the interest, and also leave us with more positive cash flow. That means that it's good debt. That debt is making us wealthy because it's being paid on its own through the revenue that we are getting from the business operation, and it's also leaving us with positive cash flow. Every time we make a payment to the bank, we're keeping some of whatever is left over from after all expenses are paid, from the business. So that is good debt. So there's nothing wrong with having bad debt, because bad debt goes with a liability, but we need to first have an asset that will pay for that liability and its expense. So we always say, okay, we want to have a liability because maybe something luxury, maybe it's a hobby that we want to experience or something, right? A vacation or whatever it may be. Well, we need to first focus on building or acquiring an asset that will pay for that. Figure out how much is it going to cost per month, if it's something that we're going to have for the next years, or if it's a one-time experience, or if it's a one-time payment. We're going to build an asset that will produce that income to pay for that. That way it's free at the end of the day, because if we have a business that is building the cash flow to pay for that, we're not working for that. The business is paying for that. Therefore, it's free ultimately, you see, because we're not working hard. And now that business we can keep forever. So it can buy that and much more after that. So always focus on building the asset column first before you start building your liability column. A lot of people do it backwards, and sometimes it's too late, but it's never too late to start investing. So if you have already liabilities, the way to come out of bad debt is not to shrink. I encourage you to use whatever debt you have left that is untouched, use it to build the asset column quickly and start building a digital business and start acquiring assets that pay you positive cash flow every single day. I mean, you need to see that money. It's all about return on investment. Don't start investing that, okay, I'm going to get money in 10 years from now. That makes no sense. You want to build a business that is offering a solution, whether it's through affiliate marketing, whether it is your own products, right? It could be white label. You don't even have to have a product in your hands. You can do print on demand. There are many different ways we can create passive income. We want to see that cash flow coming in every single day, okay? And we need to build that excess of cash flow so we can redirect that back into our asset column and diversify it in different asset classes that exist. Instead of investing those in the middle class, they consume more bad debt, okay? They purchase a larger home, enjoy luxuries, holidays, drive costly automobiles, and invest in farther academic education, no financial education. They invest in their own type of education. They adore the notion of being wealthy and wanting to appear wealthy, but they lack the context and information to understand how to become wealthy. Because most individuals buy on credit, they frequently find themselves in greater debt, bad debt, consumer debt, rather than being wealthier. Now, if you're using that credit, like I mentioned, because I want you to understand there are two types of debt, okay? So good debt is important to manage and control, the same way bad debt. So bad debt usually goes with a liability because the world works in debt. The new economy works on debt. Money is created with debt. That's why debt is tax-free. So here at Master Investor, we encourage everyone to learn how to use debt because that's how we create true wealth and we can minimize taxes all the way to zero. But now, when we use a credit card, and let's say that credit card has 100,000 or 50,000 of credit limit or whatever the limit may be, 10,000, whatever, doesn't matter, the number. And now the interest is, let's say 20%, right? People say that's high interest, okay, but if we figure out that we can use that money, because credit is money, debt is money, we can use that money, which is OPM, it's other people's money, right? It's the bank's money, it's not our money. Yeah, it's our credit, it's under our name or whatnot, but it's other people's money, okay? It's borrowed money, and it's tax-free. So what we gotta do now is figure out we're gonna put that money to work, and that's what the inside investor does. That's what a master investor does. Puts money to work in sound assets that we control with our companies. Okay, so now if we figure out that we can invest that money, that credit card, let's say it has 10,000, and we invested to launch this website and this product, we're going to advertise. It's not even our product, but we just created this website to do white label. We're getting this product from China, and they're going to ship the product to the client once we get an order placed on our website. And we launched the website, we launched the marketing campaign, and now we have $10,000 in debt, right? Because we used the $10,000 to create, and we hired some freelancers, we hired a team, and now we launched the business. Now, we figured out that after a month, we'll be able to get 3 times more than what we put in. So if we put in 10,000, let's say the business will bring in 30,000 after all expenses are paid. Now, we are able to pay that $10,000 back after the first 30 days. That is good debt. Who cares about the interest rate? Right? The business paid for it. So I don't care if it had 30% interest rate, as long as the numbers work and it makes sense, then it's a good investment. I want you to take a look at the bottom line of the investment that you're making, and you need to measure your return on investment with facts, not with opinions. You need to figure out the numbers. You need to be able to read financial statements. That's what we're talking about, the stuff that we are discussing here on our podcast, because everything that we are mentioning is critical to building one's wealth. If you don't have this vocabulary, if you don't have this approach on money, then you're going to lack the tools when you're in front of the people that will get you to the next level financially. Remember, words are the most important tools humans have ever created. Words are free, right? There are about 500,000 words in the English dictionary. And part of that is dedicated to the business language. Just like a doctor, doctors have their own lingo, and attorneys too. Now, business people, we also have our own lingo. Many of the words that I'm mentioning on the podcast are part of that lingo, and inside of our ebooks and everything that we're talking about will teach you more about the vocabulary of the wealthy person. And it's all about having that in your disposal so that you can use it when you're building your business. Context is difficult to modify, but possible with effort and the right mentors. Many people struggle to adapt to new situations. This is because context has a deep importance for people. Someone frequently confused their context with their identity since they were taught by someone they love, right? They were maybe taught by their parent. It includes some of the first and most fundamental skills we learn in life. Changing our context can feel like changing the very essence of who we are. And in some ways, that is true. When people from the middle class hear the phrase, there is good debt and bad debt, their context closes. All they know is that debt is bad and makes people poor. Most people don't understand the concept of good debt, which is debt that can help them become wealthy. Many of these folks might benefit from just following the bad advice of those who say, cut up your credit cards and get completely out of debt. This is a content that their context can manage. When it comes to investment, most middle class people understand that investing is risky. This is due to the fact that most people spend in traditional education for college degrees while neglecting financial education. Context of the wealthy. The wealthiest face a vastly different situation than the poor and middle class. Examples of statements reflecting an affluent person's context could include, I must be wealthy. I own my own business and my work is my life. Freedom is more important than security. I take on challenges so I can learn more. I want to find out how far I can go in life. What problems can I solve today? Which problem do I want to solve in the world with systems? Most of these individuals are actual capitalists. And we talked about that yesterday, right? Level number 7 investor is a capitalist, and that's the level of investor that we recommend everyone a master investor to be, because that is a master investor, that is an inside investor, that is a business owner, it's a capitalist. Where the poor or middle class may sense shortage, they see abundance and opportunity. We always are looking for opportunity, even during crisis. We understand how to use OPT, other people's time and talents, and OPM, other people's money, to become wealthy. They don't wonder, how can I do this myself? Instead of saying, how can I use the talents and money of others to get wealthy? We do not consider investing to be risky and consider working to be far more perilous or dangerous. So, for example, when a middle class individual deposits their savings or retirement fund in a bank, the banker lends the money to the capitalist. So they lend the money to us. Context is more important than content. I want you to take that from today's talk and start shifting your mindset so that you have the context of a wealthy individual. And then now you can have the content that is required to have wealth, because you have the framework that is needed to put that content of the wealthy inside that framework. Rich context enhances the quality of the content taught. One of the reasons people struggle in school is that we had no ambitions to work as employees. We aspire to be employers and entrepreneurs. Every time a teacher tried to push us by saying, if we don't get a good grades, we won't get a good job, we walked out since we didn't want a good job. At least that's the case personally for me and many of our team members, right? And many of the mentors that we have, that's what happened to them. They dropped out of school, I dropped out of school, and we started our own businesses, because we understand that the schools are built to create employees and soldiers. That is what the mission of the school board is designed to do, to create those two types of individuals. And it started back in 1902, 1903. You can check on Google the school board's mission, 1902 Rockefeller family, and you will learn more about it. But the school system is literally built to have the people that goes through that entire system to come out as an employee, right? Come out seeking for security, seeking for benefits and so forth, speaking the language of an employee, thinking that making mistakes is bad. So now they are afraid of making mistakes in real life because they were taught that if you make mistakes, you'll be labeled dumb. That's what they do at schools, right? And life is quite differently. In real life, it's very opposite because we don't get lessons, we don't get a chapter, we get the test right now. We have a test every single day. And so it's up to us to learn the lessons behind those experiences. And we can earn the wisdom from that. That's why I would say the more we read, the more we listen to podcasts like this, the more we learn from other people's experiences, and we can literally expedite ourselves to wealth. So why would you want to go through the hard way if you can actually learn, pay yourself, right? A product, a seminar, a class, an event that you're going to get all the information organized, and you now have more time to control because you're not looking for all the information yourself. You're using other people's talents and other people's mistakes to leverage yourself to wealth. And so that's important that we understand we don't have to learn from our own mistakes if we can avoid making them, right? By learning from other people's experiences. So we always say here in Salvar community, we always go to sleep a little smarter than we were yesterday because we're doing reading, self-development, and we're focusing on building our leadership skills. And it has to do with being able to bring the best out of others around us and being able to communicate a vision to our team and extract their talents to fulfill the mission of the company. It takes skill, takes a certain level of skill to put smart people together to work. But needless to say, it's very possible once we begin to focus on building that asset column, because we have excess of cash where we can pay anybody to do things for us. We can hire freelancers from overseas. We need this done, we need a website done, we need this done, sales funnel. We can pay everything that we need in order to build our businesses, okay? So use money as a multiplier, use money as a tool to leverage yourself to more wealth. So don't be afraid of using money, debt to create wealth. And if you're afraid, invest in your financial education. That's how you will control that fear. You will actually take away that fear by investing in your financial education, because now you have the information which you didn't have before, and that's what was causing that fear to kick in. It's all about the input that we have on a daily basis, and become a producer, not just consume. So whatever we're learning, we have to apply it on a daily basis so that we can have results. Let me see here. We must outgrow the role of an employee. The phrase "we won't get a job" had an impact on students who desire to be employees, right? And so people that maybe want to be an employee will get scared of that phrase when teachers will tell them, if you don't get good grades, then you won't get a good job. It didn't work for us entrepreneurs. We always mind our own business, which is far more important, in our opinion, than spending our lives working or someone else's dreams. Our background enabled us to seek out the best stuff for ourselves. Self-taught about the wealthy mindset and wealthy people's patterns provided us with the content and context required for this setting to thrive, right? And so the lesson is context determines content. If we want our future to be better off than we are now and to be wealthy, we must discover a method to modify not only our context but also our team's context and content. We must provide them with the context-rich financial education that alters the way they discover meaning. For example, supposing teacher said, not everyone has to grow up to be an employee. Some may be business owners who hire others. Would we like to learn about that? This opens the door for the youngsters from various backgrounds and allows the entrepreneurs to develop their skills while they're in school and maybe avoid them to drop off like many do. Today, ask ourselves, what is my context? Am I satisfied with my context, or do I want things to change? If we want to be wealthy, we must first understand how wealthy people live and think. The same goes for our team members, and it begins with studying what the wealthy understand about money, our financial education. Start investing in high-quality financial education by reading our financial ebooks. Click the link in the description. Let me know if you enjoyed today's talk about context versus content. So we must focus in context, because that's what the wealthy do. Once we have that framework properly set in our lives, then we can begin to pour in the content into that context of the wealthy mindset. I'll talk to you in the next podcast, bring you the good and bad news of money, the business principles at work in all economies. Thank you for joining me today on another amazing talk. If you have any questions, drop it below, and I'll see you inside of our inner circles. Click the link in the description to join our digital courses and ebooks today. Take advantage of the offers. Tomorrow, the price might change because we are adding more assets, but when you get in today, you'll have access to any other asset that we add in those digital courses. And think about it, in 5 years from now, we will have more assets in that digital course, and you will have access to any of them. We will have exclusive interviews with celebrities, wealthy entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, and others to emphasize more on the topic of that book. All right, talk to you in the next podcast. Subscribe and join us on our live streams every single day on YouTube and other platforms. Follow us on all other social media platforms. Stay extraordinary and wealthy. Bye for now.